Hello and welcome to an Ooma Office onboarding video. This is our second video tutorial in the series, and it will go over how to create a call flow for your business. In the video description, you will find a link to the first video in the playlist if you'd like to start from the beginning. Alright, so first off, we have our same account from our previous video here. I'm under the tab Settings and Extensions. As I stated in my previous video, this is to make almost any change to the account. It's going to be under that Settings tab. So naturally, for this part of the video, we will be here. First thing, if you would like to add a new user, so for example, let's say we have Bob and Stacy, but John decides to join the team, we can go to the Add button, and you'll see here we have a multitude of things you can add. Users is the first one on the list, so we can add John, 1003, alright, and then here it will ask us to select what we want for John, whether it's a Ooma app, desk phone. This is a mobile only account, so I'm going to select mobile phone. And then here it will create a new user for John. So that's if you need to add somebody else into the call flow, you can add that. So our call routing is made up of two main parts. The first is going to be ring groups. So if we go to the same add button we were at before, and we choose ring groups up here, it will create a group. Ring groups are also called by some other people hunt groups. It's basically the same type of goal that you're trying to achieve. You have a group of people that work in sales or maybe support, and then you want, when a call comes in and it goes to your support number, that it rings all, or sales number, that it rings all those people. So simultaneous ringing will ring everybody in that group at the same time. Sequential ringing allows me to create a list of, and the phones will ring in that order. So it'll ring extension 1 first, then the next extension in the list, and so on. And then if you have Ooma Pro or Pro Plus, there will also be a hybrid option if you scroll down. But for now, these are the Ooma basic options. So we'll start with simultaneous. So simultaneous, I would create a group of my salespeople, which is Bob and Stacy. John is just in support, so he's not going to be part of that. And here, I could also choose prepend or caller ID. Now, this is useful because on the phone screen, when you're receiving a call, it will show what group is being rang. So let's say Stacy is in both of my support employee group and in my sales employee group. So she would get a notification, oh, this is a call coming in, and it's for sales if it's going to this extension, or it's for support if it's going to a second ring group, which I'll set up in just a second. So I'll save that for now, and then I'll create a second one for the support team. Now, support, since Stacy is in both our sales and support group, I'm going to have Stacy ring just in case John can't pick up. So in this case, for my second group, I'll do a sequential setting. So here I go. Support, and here I'm also going to prepend that so to the caller ID so that Stacy can see who's calling. Now here I'm selecting sequential, and so when I go to add people, let's say, now it will give me the option to put John first or put Stacy first, whoever I want. There's also the option, instead of selecting only one of them, to select specific devices. So let's say we had Bob, who has a mobile app and a desk phone. I could select for only his desk phone to ring if I select only his device, like this. So that is also a option if you guys want. And then here under call handling, you can set the duration. So since this is sequential, it's going to ring a few times, however many times on the first person, and then however many times on the second person. So because of that, what I'll do is I'll select 3 rings. That way it rings 3 rings to John, and then 3 rings to Stacy. And then I will have it end up in the voicemail of John, since he's our primary support person. Numbers is if you care about the extension number, you can click the little tab here and put in a different number. I want it 1111 as my extension number. I click the pen, change the number, and then hit save. All right. For our next step, we are going to go over the virtual receptionist. So we've created our 2 departments, sales and support, and now we want that when a call comes in, the person can select either 1 for sales or 2 for support. And so to do this, we click on the virtual receptionist, open up the settings. Once again, under here you could change the greeting. If you like to call this auto attendant, you can. However you would like to name that, and the extension number as well. If we want to change that, we can under here. Schedule is where we're going to go to change that menu I was talking about. So this little pen here, I click Edit Call Handling, and it will show up the menu. So right now, there's a default message. Welcome to Ooma. If you know the extension of the party you are trying to reach, you may dial at any time, and so on. I want to change this message. I want to say, instead of the, if you know the extension of the party you are trying to reach, you may dial it at any time, I want it to say, to speak with sales, press 1. To speak with support, press 2. So to do that, I go into the menu, and then I click this anywhere in this greeting box. Will open up the settings. And then I can remove the parts I don't want. So for sales, press 1. For support, press 2. To leave us a message, press 0. I'll leave that just for now, but if you want, you can remove it as well. So save that. Now, this part does take a while to save because it has to take the text that I typed in and translate it to speech. All right, not too bad. And then here, you click play if you want to listen to what it sounds like.
Welcome to Ooma. For sales, press 1. For support, press 2. To leave us a message, press 0.
All right, so that's what it sounds like with the default voice. If you want to change the voice, or if you want to record your own audio, you can go back here, and on the right-hand side, we'll have different options. So we'll have, if you want a British accent, Australian accent, you have those as options. And then, as well as if you want to upload your own audio file, under the announcement option, you choose audio file, and you would just choose an audio file from your computer. Under music, you could choose an audio file here. The main thing with audio file is just make sure it's not like a copyrighted song or anything. That's why we have this disclaimer here. All right. So once you have your greeting all set up, then it's time to set the button presses. So you'll see what the buttons do down here underneath the greeting box. But if you want to change them or delete them, so for example, if I don't want this 0 down here, I click on it and then choose delete. This will remove it from the options. You'll see now it turned white. And then if I want a different option, so for example, for 6, I can go here. Now, to change the existing one, so I can click on the left-hand side, or I can click on the orange buttons too. Both will work. And then I could say, if they press 2, I wanted that to go to support. So I said transfer call to extension and support. All right, I'll go over the different button presses and what they do now. So company directory is a company directory that's created by the first and last names you put in for each user. So I put in one for Bob, John, and Stacy. So it would ask people when they press 1 for a company directory, for example, to put in the person who they're trying to reach, their first and last name. And so people would be able to dial using the dial pad, the alphanumeric dial pad, the person's first name, and then it would connect them to the correct person. Play announcement is to play a similar text-to-speech or audio file announcement as the greeting for this menu. So for example, some people like to use press 3 for our store hours and location. And so you could have them press 3, and then the system would list off the announcement you want to play. Repeat greeting would restart the greeting that for the main virtual receptionist. It will automatically restart after for a few seconds once it's read through the greeting. But if you want people to, if you have a longer greeting and you want people to be able to just press any key to restart the greeting at any time, that's an option. Transfer call to virtual receptionist is if you have multiple virtual receptionists. So you can have, you aren't limited to just one virtual receptionist, very similar to ring groups. You could have one in English, one in Spanish, one in French if you guys are near, in Canada, near Quebec. You could also transfer calls to extensions, which is pretty self-explanatory. That's what we've been using for the ring groups. One will be for sales, like we talked about, and transfer directly to voicemail. So that will lead me into the next part. So transferring to voicemail is something you do after hours or during the day if you want, but that is an option. So now we have our business hours menu. I'll change the name up here. Business hours menu set up. So now whenever somebody calls in, they will hear the message and they will have these button presses available. So the next part is setting up a schedule. So if you want to set up a business hour schedule so that calls come to that menu only during the day and after hours they go to voicemail, we could do that. So in the previous video, I had talked about the schedule part of the account under account and schedules. If you had created one here, it will appear on the schedule, on the drop-down list here. If you had not, you can create a business schedule by clicking the plus. I can just call this business hours and choose 8 to 5 by clicking and dragging. And then from here, I can choose, I clicked on the green box that I created when I clicked and drag, and now I can choose multiple days to select that. I won't work Fridays and Saturdays. And then I can hit save. That will create the business hour schedule. And so during business hours, I can have it go to that business hours menu. And then after hours, I could have it go maybe straight to a voicemail is maybe what I'll do. So after hours, I'll have it go to a voicemail. So now you'll see on my virtual receptionist schedule tab, there is the business hours listed off. It says that during business hours, it sends the call to the business hours menu that we had created. And then after hours, if I want to change that, I can click this little edit button with a pen here. Edit call handling. And then after hours, now I want it to go to the voicemail of Bob. And then if you want to play greeting before transferring to the extension, that is also a possibility. So you could say, you have reached us after hours. We are open Sunday through Thursday, 8 to 5 p.m. So now, whenever somebody calls in after hours, it will let them know your hours and then transfer to Bob's voicemail in the case that, so that way they know next time when you guys are open and they can call in during business hours. All right, save that. And now we have a basic setup for our call routing, right? So calls will come in during business hours to that main menu. People can select 1 to go to sales, which will bring Bob and Stacy at the same time. Stacy and Bob will both see that it's a sales call because it will display it on their screen. Or they can press 2, which will go to support, which will first ring John for 3 rings and say support on his screen, and then ring Stacy for 3 rings and say support on her screen so she knows what type of call is coming in at all times. Alright, that's basically it for the basic call routing functions for the virtual receptionist and the ring groups. If you have any questions at any time, you can always give us a call. Our support number is 866-939-6662, and we will be happy to help you. All right. If you need to view the previous videos in this playlist, you can click the description at the bottom. Otherwise, our next video should be about setting up users.